Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna make homemade granola. This is such a simple, easy recipe, and I guarantee you probably have at least, if not more, of these ingredients already in your pantry. So let me show you how I make my simple, everyday, super easy, yet delicious homemade granola. So for this recipe, you are going to need a few key ingredients. In my personal opinion, a good granola should have coconut oil and maple syrup or honey. I love those two ingredients in granola because I personally do prefer to have more of that crunchy granola, to have more of that wonderful, delicious bite into it, and it kind of just sticks together versus falling all apart. And I have just noticed that this recipe just holds it all together exactly how I like. So the few ingredients that you are gonna need are old-fashioned oats, coconut oil, maple syrup, or honey. Honey is also really great. Honey will really bind it together if you want it to stay super, super crunchy. Today I'm gonna use pecans, or if you say pecans, let me know, what do you say? I'm going to put in raisins. I have quite a bit of raisins in my pantry, so we're gonna use those up. And I was thinking about using some of these almond slices in there. I love to put salt, of course. We're gonna put some cinnamon. I love the taste of cinnamon in granola. And I'm actually missing one ingredient. I love this brand of vanilla bean paste. I just recently switched to vanilla bean instead of vanilla extract. This has so much more of a potent taste to it. I have bought in, I think this is the third one, and I'm halfway through this one. It is a little bit more pricier than vanilla extract, but in my personal opinion, this is so much more worth the investment than vanilla extract. So these are the simple ingredients, so let's get started. Okay, so one of the first things I'm gonna do is I need to heat up that coconut oil, and I like to add my maple syrup in with it. One thing I really love about this recipe is that it stays pretty crunchy. I personally love a granola that kind of just sticks together and makes it nice and crunchy. I have made other granola recipes before, and the oats basically just stay individual, and that's just not what I personally prefer. But let me know down in the comments below, what is your preferred kind of granola? Are you a crunchy granola, or do you just like it to be nice and soft? Another cool thing about this recipe is you can use a smaller pan and cut them into granola bars. But I just made some homemade yogurt, so I want granola for that yogurt. Okay, so next we are going to do our oats. We are gonna need 4 cups of oats. We're gonna add our salt. I personally prefer a Celtic salt. I feel like it is the saltiest, the taste of the salt, the nutrients that are in it. It is just one of my favorite salts. I've tried the Real Red's salt. I can link all this down in the description below, but I usually order it always off of Azure. There's other places that you can get it too, like Amazon. I can link that down below also. I've tried the real salt. It was good, but Celtic salt definitely had a lot more flavor. I had a little bit of the real salt left over, which is what this is. It's still good, but I definitely do prefer a Celtic salt. And then we are going to add our cinnamon. I will also have this recipe linked down in the description below. Now we're just gonna mix this together. You can roast your nuts, whatever kind of nut it is that you decide to put in. I just say do whatever is on hand in your pantry or your preferred nut that you like. Almonds are always a good one. I usually like to get whole almonds and then just chop them myself and put them in here, but I just didn't have that today. So we're just gonna do pecans, and I think I might actually cut those up because I think my daughter might have too much of a hard time trying to eat those. So let's go ahead and cut those up. Believe it or not, it was actually snowing this morning. Everything has melted and it doesn't even look like it snowed, but we were getting quite a number of flurries this morning. Okay, our coconut is ready. I'm gonna go ahead and add in these are sliced almonds. I get mine off of Azure. These are really good. I don't really use them all that much. I really like these in chocolate ice cream with like maybe a couple marshmallows. It almost makes it like a homemade Rocky Road. It's really good. Another thing I want to note, I am not going to add in my dried fruits. Those are going to like swell up if you put them in the oven, which is what we don't want. So you actually are going to add those at the end. And I'm going to go ahead and put my vanilla in with my coconut and maple syrup. Call me crazy, but I almost never measure out vanilla extract. I feel like it's just one of those things that you can just pretty much eyeball. The smell of this vanilla bean paste, I'm telling you, once you try it, you probably will not go back. It's just so good. Another thing you could also add in here is chocolate chips. I would recommend adding them once it's cooled, unless you want a chocolate granola. So the consistency that I'm actually looking for is very, very wet. That is what is going to make a very crunchy granola. Another way to get your granola to kind of stay crunchy or stay into clumps is I am not going to stir this granola. That's another thing, is when you disturb it in the oven, I want this to set and I want to be able to break pieces apart, and then I'll be able to store it into a airtight container. You definitely don't want to forget your parchment paper either. Another tip I would have is you don't want this to be in a single layer, but you don't want it too thick either, because then it's not going to bake evenly and it's not going to be able to cook properly. Another thing you can do is kind of pat it down and make it more stuck into each other. I just want to show you like the kind of thickness that I have with my granola. So not too thick, but definitely not in a single layer. We're gonna put this in our oven at 350 degrees. All right, here is our final reveal of our granola. My preferred method to store my granola is actually in a half-gallon mason jar with one of these white lids on top. I'm just gonna break it up into really small chunks and just put it inside of here. Sometimes you might need 2 half-gallon jars. Well, friends, that is all on how to make my ultimate favorite crunchy granola recipe. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next video on how to make yogurt in an Instant Pot.